What? Nah. Alright, we'll do it. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Libertalia Game Supply. Today we are going to take a look at my updated Bujin deck list following Photon Hypernova releasing a pretty broken new support piece for Galaxy Eyes, actually, that we can make really good use of. So I'm talking about Galaxy Photon Dragon. I posted a video not too long ago about a little combo you can do to make F-Zero in this deck. I'm going to show you the deck that I've updated to accommodate that combo here today. The focus of this deck now is to open your 1.5 card combo to get you to F-Zero. That combo includes Torifun and any other Bujin monster in your hand. So we have made a couple of changes to focus on that versus a 2-card F-Zero combo that we were playing for previously. So I'll show you the update, I'll explain some of the changes here, and you guys will have to try it out for yourself and tell me how you like it. Before we get into it, if you like this content and you want to see more of it, subscribe, please. I'm getting close to 200. It would mean the world to me if 19 of you watching this video right now could subscribe and help me get there. But enough of that. Let's get into this deck list. Alright, to get us started, we got triple Bujin Neos. Main playmaker here, you tribute them off your field in order to special summon a Bujin and a Bujingi. This is your main combo starter. No matter what, you want to be able to see them in that opening hand, recycle them as much as possible. Triple Bujin Pegasus. This guy, discard one, special summon himself from the hand. It's pretty nice. The better effect on him, though, is when he's on the field, you can either banish one out of your graveyard to Foolish Burial a Bujin from your deck, or you can discard a Bujin from your hand to add a Bujin back to your hand from your graveyard. So lots of utility there. And then triple Bujin Bastion. This is one of your better extenders. When a Bujin's banished, it can special summon itself from your hand in defense mode. So if you see this in your opening hand, in addition to your main, your Torifun plus your one additional body to go full F-Zero combo, you pretty much can then lock in F-Zero plus like a Kaigutsuchi, which is a nasty, nasty board here. So these are our 3 ofs for our Bujins. For our only 2 of, we're playing double Bujin Sartorius, the Pendulum monster. He ranks up or exceeds Bujin monsters. So you play him in the Pendulum Zone, then he banishes himself. You target a Bujin Xyz you control, and then you overlay a different Bujin Xyz on top of it. So usually what this will be for is you're going to overlay to make Susanoo to search this. If this is already in your hand, to search whatever you want then, probably an extender. You would then activate this out of your hand, use its effect, rank it up into Amaterasu, and then Amaterasu would then use its effect to special summon back one of your banished Bujin monsters, and then you can continue play from there. Then we got the one Bujin Alexis. It's just a good extender at 1. You can banish a Bujin out of your graveyard to special summon it from your hand. It also can force that Arasuda effect. We got the one Chaz It Up and the one Jaden. These are just here because I respect my elders. They kind of suck, but it is what it is. Then we got the one Bujingi Sinew. It's kind of like a crane out of your graveyard. During damage calculation, you can banish it. Your monster will then increase by the attack of the opponent's monster, and then damage is cut in half. So it's like an honest, but damage is cut in half. The one Centipede, banish it to pop a spell or trap on the field. The one Crane, this got added back in just to increase the likelihood that you see that Bujin monster in addition to your Torifun to go with the F-Zero combo turn 1. It's also a good card. It just didn't have any direct use most of the time. As an extra body that can have that Crane effect to double attack, it's not bad. I like it. The one Quillen, banish to pop a face-up card on the field. The one Turtle, banish to negate an effect that targets, and the one Hare, banish to prevent one of your Bujin Beast Warriors from being destroyed one time that turn. So good lineup here. The rest of the Bujingi cards in the archetype are pretty trash, so I wouldn't really play them. And then for our hand traps, we cut Ghost Ogre down to 1, and then Veiler still at 2. Having the extra Ghost Ogre just didn't... I wasn't having troubles with not having a target for Small World, but drawing into multiples of your hand traps when you didn't really need them kind of sucked, so I wanted to trim it down a little bit so I didn't see as much of them, and it's been working fine. And then speaking of Small World, we got triple Small World. It's one of the best search cards in the game, I think, especially if you're playing like rogue level decks like this one. And then the triple Tenki, activate and search a Beast Warrior from your deck. So This pretty much just says search Torifun, add it to your hand. If you happen to already have the Torifun plus this, it pretty much lets you just go absolutely nuts because you can just pick whatever extender you want that works with your hand, and you can make huge boards with this deck now, especially with that Galaxy Photon Dragon. And then our last three we got triple Forbidden Droplet. Dark Ruler No More might be a little bit better, but I gotta play the Drip, the Altis. They're beautiful. Also, it does work a little bit better than Dark Ruler No More in this deck because you might end up having to grind out a turn or two, or if you go second, shutting off some effects or dropping attacks down or something can help you protect. And it's a quick play spell that is something Dark Ruler is not. So it does come up. I like it. We'll be keeping it at 3. And then for our one-ofs, we got the one Photon Sanctuary. This is the other main piece of your Galaxy Photon Dragon combo. When it's activated, it just makes 2 Photon tokens, level 4, light, some amount of attack and defense. I think it's 2,000 attack and 0 defense. Does not matter. The tokens can be used to make Ahashima, and that's where the combo kind of comes from, so that's why that's in there. The one Called By, I hate getting negated by hand traps and such. The one Foolish, putting something in the graveyard at your choice is great in this deck. The one Feather Duster, just to clear back row if we're going second. This could pretty much be anything, as well as this, the Monster Reborn. They were just some pretty good one-ofs, and I wanted to trim down some of the other stuff that didn't directly help extend plays or get us to the play we were trying to get to on turn 1, and I've been liking this lineup here for our one-ofs. And then for our traps, I'm playing 2 Imperms, and then the one Bujin Regalia, the Sword. So the Imperms are just a nice hand trap. I took the Solemn Strikes out. This is just a little bit better if you're going second because they can be useful if you drew them in your opening hand, where Strike is kind of garbage unless you're going first. So I like that a little bit better for this deck because you can't really afford to fall behind. The one Sword, I like this thing a lot. It's a pretty nice card in this deck. So what it does is when you activate it, it'll either move one of your banished Bujin monsters back into your graveyard, or take one of your Bujin monsters in your graveyard and put it back in your hand. So it's just a recycling card. It also is searchable off of Mikazuchi, and since I am unwilling to eliminate Mikazuchi from the deck, we gotta play a search target, and Bujin Carnation has just become a little bit too situational. I tried it out. I still don't like it too much in this build, so the Sword it is. So we got the one Ahashima. This is an amazing card in this deck now. It was kind of, it was good, but kind of meh for a while now. With Galaxy Photon Dragon, it's nuts. So on summon, it will special summon a monster from your graveyard and from your hand with the same levels, and then you have to overlay with them immediately. Also, if the zone it's pointing to has an Xyz monster and it activates its effect, it can pop a back row card on your opponent's side of the field. So it is not only an extender, a big playmaker, but also a little bit of removal, and you can kind of force that depending on what you end up overlaying here, just to use the effect right away to pop something and then go into your F-Zero or whatever. We got the 3 copies of Susanoo, still the heart and soul of the deck. I might end up going down to 2 here, but I just summon this thing so much. Like, I typically will end up using 3 of them, so 3 just seems super necessary. I gotta have it. So its effect is you can detach a material, search a Bujin card in your deck, and either add it to your hand or send it to the graveyard, which does everything. That's everything you need to be able to do in this deck to be able to set up your plays. Most of the time I'm searching the Sartorius, the Bujin Haruko, to the hand to rank this up into Amaterasu, but it can be used for anything. Another effect on this thing is it can attack every monster your opponent controls 1 time. The reason that's relevant is because Torifun, when a Bujin Xyz is summoned, can equip itself to that Xyz monster from the graveyard, and then whenever it destroys a monster, that monster is banished. So if you summon the Susanoo, equip the Torifun, and then have like a Crane in hand or a Sinew in the graveyard or whatever, and your opponent has a big monster and some smaller ones, you can clear the whole board and banish them all, or just clear the whole board and not banish them all if you don't have the Torifun effect available. But I have used that a few times just to really, it's like a removal card essentially. It's like a Raigeki kind of, so something to know there. The one Kagetsuchi, this is probably my favorite Xyz monster in the deck, my favorite Bujin Xyz monster in the deck, we'll say. So 2 level 4 Beast Warriors. When he's summoned, he mills 5. He gains 100 attack for every Bujin card milled in that way. Most of the time you're getting like 2 to 4, so he's going to be like 27 to 2900 on summon just off of his own effect, because half of the deck, if not, I think it's more than half the deck now, is Bujin cards, so you're going to mill a couple. He can detach material to prevent himself or another Bujin Beast Warrior on your field from being destroyed, and it's not once per turn. So Usually when he's summoned, he'll have 2 materials. He can protect himself twice, or himself and something else and whatever. And so good card, nice to just sit on the field and kind of sit behind it just to get some play going. The one Tsukiyomi, this thing's a lot better now in this Galaxy Photon build also. So kind of what I was saying about the Ahashima, being able to force the Ahashima back row pop effect, is when you overlay, if you don't need to search something to your hand necessarily, I can overlay for this, detach 1, and then you send your hand to the graveyard and draw 2. You have to have at least 1 card to send. Usually it's pretty easy to fix your hand to have just the 1 card that you don't need anymore. Then you'll send, draw your 2, and then this will be overlaid for the F-Zero pretty much right away. We got the one Bujin Amaterasu. This is your main rank up target. This is a pretty good card in this deck. I've been thinking about trying to bump this up to 2. I might still try that out. For now, 1 is still good. What it does is it can attach a material on your turn to special summon one of your banished Bujin monsters. On your opponent's turn, if you activate its effect, you can detach a material and then add one of your Bujin monsters that is banished back to your hand, so it can recycle anything that's banished. And the deck has a lot of ways to banish monsters, so you can kind of set up what you need and then make use of it twice. Once on your turn to summon, when you pass turn, if it's still sitting on the field, it's probably going to get killed, but it is a quick effect, so you can just activate that effect quick to get a little bit more value out of it before it disappears. And then for the rest of our stuff, we got the one Tiger King. It searches your fire formation cards, so just the Tenki at this point, but it also negates effects of monsters that were face up on the field when it's summoned. Good card, gets summoned every now and then. I summoned it more when I was playing the fire formation that gives you the extra normal summon. I ended up cutting that just because I was hating it, having it in my hand more than not, and I ended up drawing it more than I was searching it, so I cut it. But Tiger King's still good. The one Gaga Gaga Magician, this was your main F-Zero combo, one of your main F-Zero combo pieces. Previously, it can still be used for that, but now with the Galaxy Photon Dragon, I could potentially see this being what I cut to make room for the second Amaterasu, but we'll have to keep playing around with it just to see. Because typically, if you have the combo that uses this to make the F-Zero, that also means you have the combo to use the Galaxy Photon Dragon to make the F-Zero, so there's not really a use for it. Also, the Photon combo locks you into light monsters, so you can't even summon this or that technically, but yeah, just some thoughts. The one Galaxy Photon Dragon, the new big bad boy. Why this thing is so great: when it's on the field, all your light monsters gain 500 attack. That's kind of whatever. He usually doesn't sit on the field unless I just want the extra attack to push for game. Why it's great is because you can attach material and search a Galaxy Eyes or Photon card and add it to your hand. So it searches the Photon Sanctuary, which then lets you make the Ahashima to summon a new Xyz monster, and then overlay this and that Xyz monster to make your F-Zero. So then we've got our F-Zero package right there, the little one and the big one. Utopic F-Zero is your main boss monster in this deck. It's kind of what the whole deck is built to play, to summon as quick as possible. When it's on the field, if a monster effect is activated, you can negate that effect, and then if that monster is on the field, you can steal that monster, which feels super good to negate some big effect and then just put it on your side of the field, and now it's yours. You don't give it back. It's yours now. You take it home with you. You put it in your own sleeve. Also, it can't be destroyed by battle or opponent's card effects, so that is also quite nice. It protects itself, so super good card. I love it. And then for the rest of it, we got the Ptolemaeus, the Diamond, and the one Exciton Knight. I cut the Zeus, played the Exciton Knight instead. I just couldn't cut the Exciton. I love the card too much, so that's why that's in here. And then this is just a nice little like floodgate against dark type decks or things that use the graveyard a lot. Good little something. So that wraps up the deck profile, but I will show you the F-Zero combo here. I'll show you the bare bones version of it and then kind of explain what I was talking about with the additional extenders in hand. Alright, so this is just the bare bones version of this combo. We've got the one Torifun and our one any Bujin monster. We just picked the most useless one in this instance, being Yamato, unfortunately. I'm sorry. So we will normal summon Torifun, activate its effect so it'll tribute itself, and we'll summon 2. The 2 we summon will be Mahitatsu and then a whatever Bujingi you like. I like the Mahitatsu as a summon off of this. I would then use the Mahitatsu effect, so I would banish the Torifun out of the graveyard to send something else to the graveyard. We'll say it's just a Sinew for now. It's kinda, doesn't matter, whatever you want to fit the situation. We're then gonna overlay to make our Galaxy Photon Dragon. The Galaxy Photon Dragon is going to activate its effect, so we'll detach 1. It'll search our Photon Sanctuary. put it in our hand. So now our useless and our sanctuary are in hand. We'll activate the sanctuary and it'll give us our 2 tokens. I don't have tokens currently on hand, but imagine. You're going to immediately use them to make your Ahashima. Let me get this all in frame. Hashima's effect will activate, so you will target a level 4 in your graveyard and in your hand. We'll use the Sinew and the Yamato. They summon, and then you immediately overlay with them. So right here, you can make any number of your Bujin monsters, Xyz monsters that you like. For the sake of this combo here, to keep it simple, we'll use just the Tsukiyomi. So at this point, you've only used 3 of the cards out of your hand. You should still have 3 cards left in hand. If they're Bujingi monsters, it doesn't matter if you send them to the graveyard because you want their effects. If they're back row, you just set them, but keep the one that you need the least, because then we're going to detach 1 to discard the hand and draw 2 cards to get that little refill, that little plus. And then we're going to overlay the Galaxy, Photon Dragon, and the Tsukiyomi to make the little F-Zero and then the big F-Zero. So now you got the pop off of the Tsukiyomi effect activating. When you pass turn, if you end up using this effect, like say they have a field spell or something up, and then they summon a monster and use its effect, and you use this guy's effect, you detach 1, you steal something, negate something, whatever, this can use its effect on their turn also, so then you get to pop their, whatever back row they have. So this is your like basic turn 1 back row F-Zero lockdown type deal. It's pretty cool. All right, and then if we rewind here really quick to the point when the Ahashima is summoned, and say we opened, our 1.5 cards necessary to make the F-Zero, but we also open an additional extender. In this case, we'll use the Harume, but it can be any of your additional extenders. If you opened it, you can go through this additional step in the combo. So Ahashima summoned, we got our Yamato, we got our 1 out of the graveyard, and then we immediately overlay. In this instance, I'm going to overlay and I'm going to make Susanoo. And then Susanoo's effect will activate. We'll detach 1 so that we can search. And that search will be for our rank up Sartorius. We're going to then activate our Sartorius in the Pendulum Zone, down here somewhere. Use its effect to banish itself, to then rank up our Susanoo into Amaterasu. And then we'll use our Amaterasu's effect to detach 1 in order to special summon 1 out of the Banish Zone. So right now we have these 2. I would leave the Torifun in the Banish Zone so that I can try to get it back on my next turn, or my opponent's next turn, so that I can use it again. So we'll take the Sartorius here again. Now we'll banish 1 out of the graveyard in order to summon the Bujin Harume. So because we can't summon dark monsters, you can't make Gagaga Magician and just use those guys as materials instead. So we're going to banish the Susanoo instead to summon the Harume. I've now run out of space. So imagine it's in its own zone. We're then going to overlay. We've got our 2 Beast Warriors. We're going to make Kagutsuchi, who's going to mill 5 and then gain attack. We won't do the mill right now. And then you will do your overlay for F-Zero and Big F-Zero. Now this board is pretty nuts. We've got the back row removal, we've got the effect negation and self-protection, and then this thing can protect itself and the Ahashima. Just let this die most of the time unless you really need that back row destruction. Let it protect itself. It'll also be a pretty big body, so 27, 2800, something like that. We have the Sinew in graveyard as well as the hair. That's important because we want to have a body on board that allows us to use our Bujingi graveyard effects. Worst case scenario, the Ahashima does that for you already, but the Xyz monsters are a little bit better in terms of like how big their bodies are. So there you have it, a whole new world of Bujin love. I hope you enjoyed this deck profile. I hope you were able to pick up some things that you might try out yourself. Once again, if you like it, like the video, subscribe below. We're almost to 200. Help me out, guys. Happy deck building. I will see you in the next video.